So much to share with you this episode. Where should we begin? I've been filming lots of different things over the last 2 weeks, just to bring it all together in one episode. I do have to say thank you for the incredibly kind comments on this week's video. I published it on Monday. It was a recipe episode, schiacciata all'uva, which was a traditional grape focaccia, and I got so many beautiful comments on my cinematography, which I always really appreciate because I do take a lot of time over that, and sometimes I'm like, I wonder if people will notice, and you do notice, and I notice your comments, so it comes full circle, and I thank you for that. Let's begin with a little trip that Guido and I took with Gianfranco for Guido's work. He had to go and evaluate a property in the mountains of Tuscany, this very remote little town. Anyway, we stopped at this little trattoria for lunch, and Guido had to estimate the cost of repairs and maintenance and the general value of this property. And although it's beautiful and historic and the owner rents it out, the rent on a place like this will rarely cover the costs. And I find that sad because then these places do get forgotten or ostensibly abandoned. Isn't it beautiful? I just loved looking around. I'm always fascinated by properties like this. Of course, some of you might say, "Oh, look, how much opportunity there is," but it really depends on where a property is. I mean, if it's in the center of Florence or Rome, obviously there's a super high turnover. Yes, you can make a lot of money in rent, but most people that we know that have somewhere that's remote, they're barely covering the costs for the maintenance of a place like this. If it's old, if it's a place that's stone, also I love the exposed stone, like this wall here, and this house itself actually used to have all exposed stone everywhere. The granary, all the buildings on the property used to have this exposed stone. And when I look at the photos, I say to Guido, "Oh, look how amazing this was!" And but as he rightly tells me, without the plaster on it, they don't get protected, and then the damp comes in. It creates mold on the inside of the rooms, which not only is dangerous, but then also it just becomes so cold, and then there are these great cracks that form in all the walls. And so sometimes if you're in Italy or looking at these properties and they look so poetic, and I still fall for them and think, oh, how lovely. But so many of the windows, the shutters, that I love shutters, wooden shutters, but they let in so much cold air in winter, and it takes so much to heat the place. And as you know, we've lived without heating for many years here, but it was such a nightmare to get the air conditioning heating put in just a few of the rooms in this house. It took about a year by the time they carefully drilled through the stone. The walls are so thick, and being careful not to damage any of the foundations of the house. And yeah, that's just to temper a little bit of the romance of these properties. That you see them and you think, oh, you could do so much, but the maintenance is really hard. Also the lawns and the fields or the garden around. It's such a full-time job here, keeping up with the grass and the weeds that grow up to the height of Guido's head, and he will have to spend days and days out either on the ride-on mower or with a huge strimmer to strim just all of the vegetation that just grows so. I mean, we're lucky. I guess that's why we have such a great vegetable garden and everything, because everything grows so well here. But it's wild. It's so hard to keep up with. Sorry, if I have to cut, or if I look like I'm crying, it's because I'm a little bit sick. I'm much better than I was the last 2 days. I've just been in bed. This is my second day just in bed. I feel rotten, and it's so hard. I've got so much to do. It's so hard to take care of Gianfranco. I have to just listen to my body, and my body is saying, don't get up. You know, I'm often talking about the importance of sleep and the importance of nutrition and exercise and all the rest of it, but I do believe that none of that actually matters if the relationships in your life aren't healthy, because that can really throw everything off balance. And probably a lot of you know by now that Guido and I have this online psychologist that we speak with, and it's not just actually to resolve things between us. Sometimes it's just like one of us has something going on in our life that even with other people or with other stuff, and we want to know how to support each other through that, and that's really helpful. And I thought I would share with you two things which our psychologist has spoken to us about, which I found quite interesting and you might like to discuss. And also because this particular portion of the video is a paid partnership with BetterHelp, which is an online therapy platform. And although our psychologist isn't through BetterHelp because we found her before I knew about them, but she is online. And anyway, let's get on to the two concepts that our psychologist has spoken with us about. And one of them, she refers to it like leaking, and it can happen when someone has a tendency towards being passive aggressive, or even just if they have just a history of not wanting to burden others. They can feel that by not causing conflict, by not raising an issue, it's a kind thing to do. But actually, if you have the problem, the effect that it has on you, she says most of the time, will inevitably leak out and will cause greater damage than if you just raise the issue with the person who's responsible. Because sometimes, you know, it's with someone else, it's with a family member, it's with your work, it's with something, your body, some issue that you have that has nothing to do with a loved one or the person you live with or a family member or someone you see, or a friend you see all the time. But because they're your safe space, because they're the person who either loves you unconditionally or is really supportive, then you end up taking it out on them, but inadvertently. So you think that you're just protecting them and shielding them from negativity and the burden of raising an issue, but actually she believes that it will inevitably leak out in the form of just you'll appear sad or impatient or depressed, or even you can just irrationally explode and take it out on the person, whoever is closest to you or whoever feels like a safe space. And this is where it can become so complicated, because the person who is responsible for causing you this discomfort or this anxiety is not the person that you're speaking about it with. And so she sort of speaks about the idea of really trying to raise the issue with the person who causes it, just because, or to just keep in mind that sometimes by thinking, oh, I'm not causing conflict, I'm not burdening them with complaining, in actual fact, you can cause more damage and more pain. The second concept she speaks about is how when we argue with someone, be it a partner, a sibling, even a parent with an adult son or daughter, someone with whom you're quite candid. Basically, more often than not, we all tune out after about 30 seconds. We're not listening because we're busy either defending ourselves or jumping to conclusions or worrying that that person has withdrawn their love or their respect or their approval. And she speaks about just how, if this happens in a fight, in an argument, that the one way to really diffuse things, because if you get into that pattern, it's just pointless. It's futile continuing, because you're going back and forth and neither of you is listening. And one way that she suggests is to genuinely ask a question and ask the other person to expand on their perspective, which is the opposite of what you feel like doing if you feel angry or hurt or frustrated. Ask that person to elaborate on what they're feeling. And this, it's amazing, because it will stop them in their tracks and it will make them feel heard. And that's what we all really want, is not just to feel like we're heard, but also to feel like someone is making an attempt to understand. So it goes beyond just, you might have heard sometimes with therapy they say, you know, you repeat back to the person what you feel like they've said. But it goes beyond that, because it's about saying, I genuinely want to understand more about your side of things, even if you disagree with them, even if you have all your points to say, because the idea is that you're never going to get anywhere if you just debate and put forward your point and they put forward their point, and then neither of you are listening. So in order to sort of cut that off, you ask a question, and it can't be sarcastic or rhetorical, like, do you have any idea how hard this was for me? No, it has to be a genuine question, like, can you tell me, was it the timing of this happening, or was it what was actually said which was more hurtful to you? Or what do you think I could have said in this situation which would have made it easier for you next time if this happens again? And you ask it putting aside all your own grievances and everything else. You just ask it genuinely and really listen, and by taking the time, and it's hard to do that, because you have to step outside of your own needs and everything, and take that time to actually ask for more detail from this person who is ranting, but that will calm them down, and they will then be in a state where they can then ask you a question and listen to you. And it's only when that happens, it's only when we listen to each other that we can actually resolve anything. And I think if, you know, they say with most relationships, people fight again years and years about the same thing, and what a waste of time, because if people are just repeating the same things and perhaps over the years even getting more and more hurtful, that seems to me to be such a waste. And it can happen, I think, also with family members, because you think, oh, a family member, I know them so well. You can anticipate what you think they're saying, but that is the problem, is the person gets angrier and angrier because they feel that you are presuming what their feelings are. And yeah, it was just two things that I found rather interesting. If you are interested in some therapy for yourself, BetterHelp makes it very easy. You just click on my link, which will also give you a discount, and it's betterhelp.com/Kylie. I'll put it down below. You arrive at their site, there'll be a questionnaire. You fill it out with like what you're interested in, your background, what type of therapist you're after. Usually 48 hours later, they match you with someone. If it's not a good connection, just change it. It's no extra cost. And it can be, you can message them in between sessions. It can be a video call. It can just be an audio call if that's what you want. And they have these credentialed therapists who can speak to you at a time that is convenient to you, which is, for us, is the most important thing. So click on that link if that interests you. And if you're at a stage in your life where you just can't afford therapy, or you're not ready for that yet, then I shall also put a link down below to a video that I made providing some comfort for depression and dark thoughts and anxiety. So hopefully that might help too. Also, the builders have been back for a few weeks working on the chicken coop cottage, the Polaio, and for us anyway, it feels like there's been lots of progress because the walls have all gone up. The window of the bathroom, and this will be the living room, the window of the kitchen. Cioè, secondo me ha senso, se abbiamo questa finestra bellissima, poi if the bench finishes.
Allora prendiamo un pezzo di legno, invece di comprare il tavolone dell'Ikea prendiamo un pezzo di legno.
Esatto, cioè può farlo mio padre.
No, prendiamo un pezzo di legno bello.
Sì, esatto.
E sotto ce lo incassiamo. Facciamo come abbiamo fatto da noi. We need a sink. Oh, we could put a sink, a nice sink.
Sì, mettiamo un
acquario.
Il fatto è che ora non abbiamo più i sassi, cioè dobbiamo mettere qualcosa di più rustico, no? Per...
Sì.
We've been speaking with this place that is in Umbria, the area just beside Tuscany. It's a long way to drive, but we're thinking, we're quite tempted to go because it looks amazing and they have these incredible stone sinks, and we were thinking of really making the big stone sink the feature in the kitchen of the Polaio, just because in our kitchen that we renovated downstairs, that big long sink has been so useful, so beautiful. We appreciate it every single day. The fact that it's shallow, the fact that it's big, the fact that you can just pile up multiple pots there. We wash fruit, we can just do so much there. So we really wanted to get something, get a sink that is a feature.
Però con una stufa che è fatta tipo camino, cosa ci metti accanto? Come si è fatto noi?
Un cestino con la legna, no? If we put a bench along here, you could even just have this be open, and so that's a good place to store the basket of wood underneath, no?
Mama.
Grazie, amore. Ho capito? Okay, so this is the bathroom.
Yeah, we were very generous with the windows and very mean on the dimensions, so it's quite complicated to fit it all in. But let's say the last version that we came out with is to put the toilet, bidet, because we're in Italy, si mette il bidet.
I thought you said we're just going to do
No,
it.
si mette il bidet,
Okay.
Here goes the mirror and the basin.
Yeah.
And then there's a walk-in shower that you go like this, pop, 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 and there's a big glass here, and you have this shower, so you just wash with the view.
Beautiful.
Okay?
And then we were thinking that we'd have it all lined up in a row, so that then when you walk in through the door, you have like a clear view out to the view.
This is clean. We can put a painting on the side or whatever, a big mirror. Or...
And then we're going to put terracotta on the floor. Yeah. But Guido was just saying, because the shower is quite small.
I would have liked to have the terracotta everywhere except for
the shower,
the area of the shower.
Yeah, yeah.
But because this is not that big, it will. And otherwise, we have to close the shower also on this side.
See.
The best solution from a functional point of view is to go straight on with the. So it becomes a shower that 160 by 80.
Okay.
It might look a bit weird coming in. It would have been nicer to see all the strip of cotto.
Yeah. No, but at least then you I guess you don't.
Yeah, you step up out on a dome, come si dice?
Floor mat.
Floor mat. Here, not here, because if you.
I see.
Or you can also put it there, but if you're here, you will splash there. The glass will prevent it to.
See, but we could potentially put a hook here where you could put a towel, no?
Yeah, I would put it outside of the splashing, but that's something that we can do. Because the water will go this way, because there's only one glass here.
Sure.
It's not closed. It's not a box.
Okay, and then we were going to do a wall here, but we're going to do glass because it takes up less space.
Less space, and then the wall is taking away light, so you don't want to be on a toilet in the darkness.
So then we need to get, because tomorrow we're going.
Yeah,
to get all.
It's tomorrow's the weekend, and we need.
It's funny. There's like nothing for months, and then suddenly we need everything.
Emergency. We need to give the exact measurements of the
basin and the
sanitaries. But that's sort of easy because we will get commercial ones.
Sí.
But the idea was if we could find a nice
rustic
basin di recupero like the one we have in our house.
Yeah.
That will give a touch of
character
and everything. So this is our challenge: is finding this.
And a mirror. We have to think of what size mirror.
No.
Biciclette.
Cola.
Sì.
Mamma.
Sì.
we stopped off at this beautiful little shack on the side of the road that a friend recommended to us, selling vintage and secondhand furniture and little pieces. And I love it when it's just crammed and not organized at all, and it's kind of like an Aladdin's cave, and you just wander around. And he had quite good prices too. And while we were looking for a stone sink for the chicken coop, and we ended up finding this one. I'll show it here, but I'm not sure if we're going to use it. We ended up getting it just because it's always handy to have, even for outdoor sinks and stuff like that. So. And we got that, but I also saw this vintage wooden high chair for Gianfranco, and we couldn't resist it because it's just the perfect little thing to put down at my parents' place if we eat down there, instead of carting up the high chair that we have. And also, I think having a lot of plastic children's furniture around, it has no soul, whereas this has just so much character, and I really, really love it, and he loves it too.
Neat.
This is the bedroom.
So the bed will go there, and the black thing is the air conditioning. And here we will
beautiful
have,
big window, doors actually.
Sì, una porta finestra. Qui bisognerà trovare delle belle tende perché sennò qui non ci si dorme. E qui va la vasca.
Sì.
Allora, se uno voleva fare una cosa proprio super, come dire, crazy, one should put a slap in the middle.
No, because then if you might want to just have the doors open and have that sort of be free, you know, like you might want to put like 2 chairs outside, or a nice un lettino o qualcosa, no? Cioè così.
La verità dipende che tipo di finestra si mette, perché ancora quello non è deciso. Perché se aprono così sono perfettamente d'accordo con te.
Perché questo potrebbe essere, it can be like an extension of the bedroom if you make it all nice and, no?
Yeah, but you will have doors.
Yeah, you have doors, but if they're glass, you know, like this will all be glass basically, no? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so there's going to be a freestanding bath here, which
will be sort of here.
Yeah, and I guess
so one can
it's a small place, but we kind of prioritized having a bit of a more spacious bedroom, and I think it'll be nice, no?
Yeah, the bed will end sort of here, so you have space. It's not something cramped up.
And then when you're lying in the bath, you can look out here, see the olive tree. You won't be able to see the church, but the church
probably
is
just better because you want the church to see you.
No. There's the church there. You'll definitely hear the church. And okay.
So here we have another big door, and here we have the chimney.
Yeah.
For
the stove or the fireplace.
Yeah, I'm putting a stove because the fireplace might not work.
I think a stove is easier too. You know,
and it actually makes a difference in heating.
Yeah, and in my parents' place, it really works.
And
well.
then you don't have problem if the wrong wind is coming in and will start smoking and stuff like that. So we have problems with chimneys up here. This is the big window, and all the kitchen will be across. Yeah. So basin, dishwasher, cooker, and fridge. I sort of think, we think, I don't know if you think the same, that probably the nicest thing is having stove, working space, a nice big basin, if we can find a nice basin, old one. Yeah. Slap in the middle. And then you have another space, working space, and then here you have the the stove. The stove with the oven underneath. Yeah. So it's not, you won't lose any, and then you have electricity, so you can put the blender, coffee machine, and stuff.
Yeah, I was just saying, because it's a small space, I really wanted the bench to come right up underneath the window to the end, because I think having extra bench space.
So it's a long bench.
Yeah.
But where the center of the window, because the sitting room is there, and when you come in, you will see that this is the main il protagonista, insomma, come si dice,
the
main character,
the protagonist, the main character,
and all the rest will be, let's say, I don't want to say modern, but not something old. And this could be the feature of the...
Sure, yeah.
So the basin, and it's in the middle. You open the window and you wash your hands.
Certo.
Then you have working space here and the cooking space there. So and the dishwasher here. So that sort of works, and you are actually in outside.
See, beautiful. And now that hill is all brown, but usually it's lovely and green. And then there's a period of the year where it's covered in yellow flowers, like wildflowers, and it's such a great view. So then, dove ci saranno le luci? Ci sarà una luce importante?
Le luci sono queste.
Ah, okay.
Bravissima. Bravissima. That's another point. So,
no, because when you're cooking, it's important. I mean, obviously we've got a lot of light here, but
this can be una stringa di faretti.
Sì.
Può essere una lampada pendente, però è 2,70 m, quindi non è che puoi metterla, se no ci fatti la testa.
Sì.
Cioè io sono 1,90 m, 1,87 m, c'è 80 cm, quindi puoi prendere una lampada di 40 massimo.
Sì.
So we could look also for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's one here that, let's say, serves the kitchen, and one here that serves sitting room, because the dining table will be here in the middle.
Yeah. And
we have to think how it works. Probably a rectangular one in front of the cooking bench, you know.
See, because I think, I use it in our kitchen. I use our dining table as my workbench because we don't really have any bench space in our kitchen.
So a table that is for 6.
Yeah.
1,50 m by 80.
Then we have this little sort of nook here, which will be for a couch. And do you remember the giant discussion over the TV? But in the end,
we are putting the TV, honestly.
But do you remember there was like all this debate, and all many people were saying, I don't need to watch TV, but
obviously one has to put the predisposition. So there will be
the possibility of a TV,
Wi-Fi and the antenna for the television there. And do a little sitting room here with the possibility of a television. If someone very sophisticated comes without the need of a television, you can just put a nice bookshelf.
So we were thinking for the sofa to do something. I was thinking like, let's use this wall, have something long across there.
That and could be also divano letto.
Esatto,
if someone fights with the wife, you can
and then è una poltrona qua, forse, an armchair just here.
Un piccolo divano a L anche.
See, because
with a little armchair there. It all depends how we use that space for the table.
I think it'll start getting a bit crowded once you get in the table and the chairs, and and if you want to put like a rug on the floor. We're going to do the floor in terracotta, no?
Sì, però sicuramente qui un rug ci vuole.
Sì.
Là anche no per me.
No, però intendo d'inverno. Imagine if you have like a lovely stove here, and you want to.
This floor, you feel it squashy. This will be hot. It won't be cold. The floor.
Okay.
Because it's...
Well, you can always have 2 rugs.
Yeah, but the rug... whatever. But definitely I would put a little rug in the sitting room.
Certo.
That could be an L. It all depends also what type of furniture we find.
And then there's just the corridor that goes through to the bathroom and to the bedroom. And then they've made this road here so that then parking can be down here, so we don't have too much congestion up near the granary. And then we'll make some little steps that go up there. Bravo. Are you feeling confident?
Feeling very tired.
Yeah, me too. We had a bad night with Gianfranco. Again.
My parents came back just a few days ago, which was such a blessing because the day after they came back, I was so sick, and Gianfranco was sick as well, and I don't know how I could have looked after him without my mother's help. She's so amazing, and just steps off a plane after flying for about almost 2 days, and then just get straight into helping us, and not only just with Gianfranco, but you would have seen even in the intro, like we had this big storm, and it destroyed all these trees, fell down, and Guido was out there with a chainsaw just cutting up all these logs, and fortunately it gives us so much firewood, but my parents were just there loading up the tractor, my mother and my father, and you know, chopping all the wood to which we will use because we run so many fires here and in my parents' cottage in the winter. So they help not just with Gianfranco, but also with so many other things on the property. Good morning. So Gianfranco's with my parents in the vegetable garden, and just wanted to show you this area here, which is not very pretty, but it's where we have our compost bins. And this is where Guido was thinking we could put the chicken coop, but I don't see that there's a lot of room. He's saying we could prune this back. This is a fig tree, and here we have a pomegranate tree. While I've been sick, I have been researching chicken coops, the actual chicken coops, because we're just eating so many eggs. I've, you know, obviously just tried to up the protein that I have in my breakfast, and I worry about where our eggs come from. I don't, even when we buy organic, I just don't really know what that means and whether we can trust it. And we just love to have really happy, healthy chickens and be eating our own eggs. If you have any suggestions, I am all ears, because we have a problem with predators, and we have wolves, we have foxes, we have snakes, we have what's called a hyena, which I don't know what it is in English because I've never encountered it in Australia, but I think I looked it up one time and it said marten, but I've never heard of a marten. But I think it's like a weasel. Basically, they can move like a snake. They're this little creature that is so small but so strong. They can bite through. Even our neighbor had them. He said they can get through the holes in the barbed in the wire fence. You know, if you don't make them small enough, they just sort of worm their way through, and they dig tunnels underground. So it's so hard to protect chickens. And the sheep farmer who lives next door, in fact, he just had like 12 chickens just slaughtered. I really want to get the best quality little house for them to protect them. I was looking online at this. A lot of people are saying, you know, you put the wire in a perimeter around a cage, and within the cage sits the little wooden chicken coop. But I don't know if it's enough, because a lot of the times with this cage, they call it anti-hyena, like anti-weasel, but there's a door, and in that space where the door is, they can get through there. I mean, the neighbor next door said they get through that kind of space. So I don't know what to do. And you can't make anything in cement, because then you have to get a permit because it's not removable. So if you have any suggestions, we want them to be free range, like to be able to let them out during the day to walk around. But what will that entail? I mean, and you know, I think you can like ring a bell, and when you feed them and they all come back, and they're very loyal in that regard, or very reliable. But we're just sort of wondering, like, do we want them to be far from the vegetable garden? Is that going to be a problem? Or is it not a problem, because will they eat any bugs and things? I don't know. I'm happy to hear your thoughts, because we are just about to, either my father will build one or we will make one. The problem is these days that timber can cost so much that sometimes it's cheaper to buy it already made, which is a shame, because we love having things homemade by my father. Here we have the old pigsties, and it's a beautiful day. We had some rain last night. You see down here, there's so much space. We have olive trees and these pigsties that have just, well, are sort of abandoned. The problem, we considered adding some barbed wire, but how do you do it? Because these are crumbling down, so it's very difficult to enclose them
completely. And, you know, given all the predators that are around here, I mean, we even have wolves around this area, so, and snakes and everything that can kill chickens or take their eggs. So this would be a lovely spot to have the chickens and to go and collect eggs. Can you imagine, with this beautiful view? However, we just want to choose the safest spot for them. We can also get the solar-powered self-opening door so that in the morning, if they want to just get out before we're up, or if we're away for a weekend or something, they can get out without relying just on us. It's hard to say.
That's all we have time for today. I thank you so much for watching. I thank you for subscribing. I thank my patrons who are so wonderful in encouraging me in my work and this channel. Even when I feel discouraged or tired or whatever, you really just pick me up and keep me going, and you don't even realize that if I'm having a hard week, just how much your support motivates me. And sometimes I'll be reading comments as well, and if I don't respond, or I'll just give a quick like, but I don't like to be on my phone with Gianfranco, so sometimes if I look at something, I'll read your comment and I'll just quickly like it, but if he walks into the room, I'll put my phone away because I don't want him to see me like responding. So it's not that I don't, am not wanting to reply to you, but I just try to be off my phone when I'm with Gianfranco, so that makes things difficult. But I do try to read as many of them as I can, and I appreciate all of you who take the time to write to me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're having a lovely week, and I will see you next time. Alla prossima.